You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You're now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The entire crew is here, minus one. The homie Red August is out here taking care of some, grown folks' business. So hopefully he'll be back with us next week. But let's go ahead and get started with the show. My man Jay Moore, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Took a week off. You guys had a great show last week. Talked about some things that I was like, man, this is why I'm a fan of the show, even when I'm not here. So
you would have cooked last week too.
I mean, look, man, y'all, especially y'all guys, that might have been post show. Y'all was talking about Boys to Men.
Yeah,
that was actually during the show.
Okay,
it was.
I just cut out. It was like a very small segment that we had, and I was like, oh, this would make sense for
because I know like. It wasn't that long ago, somebody on Twitter or one of those where it's like, man, you never be at a party and somebody be like, man, put on that Boys to Men. And I was like, first of all, I am one of those people that thinks 𝐀𝐿𝐲 is better than 2. 2 just has the bigger records. And plus, 𝐀𝐿𝐲 starts off with like 6 ballads, which is unheard of.
Yeah, true.
And
great album.
Their thing is their album cuts rival anything. Like that's why Boys to Men are legends to me, because the stuff that you didn't hear over and over, that stuff is great.
Yeah, I remember we was talking about the popularity or whatever of Water Runs Dry.
Yeah. Great song, but it's not. It can't touch. They had a song on 2 called 50 Candles. It is so much better than Water Runs Dry. Wasn't even a single.
Nope. It was not a single.
So much, but
But yeah, just glad to be back. Handle some family business, and
What's up?
Good to get to St. Louis for a minute and see the folks.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you back, brother. Oh man, Lonegevity, how are you, sir?
I'm great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's like all I have, I guess. Yeah.
Shout out to my man Lone, man. He is doing double, triple, double duty out here with the on-site production and still being a member of the show. So salute to you, man. For
just start sending Red August messages.
Red August, come on, man.
Where you at, man?
Stop playing now. We need you in here. Lone is, got 12 different things he's doing. So salute to you, brother. We appreciate you for keeping us being able to rock. My man DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations.
How's everything?
Everything is everything.
Yeah.
Words of Lauryn Hill. Yep.
I love it.
Pretty straightforward there.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to the chat. We had spirited chat in the pre-show, and
we might have to revisit that.
Yeah, once we get there's some stuff that popped up in here that was very interesting. We kind of talked about it before.
Oh, we got a great segment out of it.
Yeah, that was a good conversation. All right, man, let's go ahead and jump into the rundown.
Say word.
For this show.
Yep.
So this is a conversation that we've had on one side, but I rarely hear the other side discussed. Now, we talk about culture vultures, right? Vlad comes up, academics comes up. It's always
Lonegevity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry for the people in the comments. Yeah, Lone too. He's one as well.
He secretly loves Eminem.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We actually have one here. That's great. Now I'm coming to you first.
Great. I'm happy to answer the questions. From an expert.
Yeah. You seem to be labeled as one often, so maybe I'll come to you first. But I think there's the other side to it that's really discussed, and it's the responsibility on the rappers and the artist side. We always talk about the media having the vultures, but we rarely talk about the rappers or artists that may be vultures for the culture as well. Is that a fair statement? Has it always been lopsided just for the media? Because I think it has. I rarely hear rappers that may be exploiting the culture talked about a lot. Lone, I'll come to you first since you are
get
one.
them up out of here. Usually,
is that what it is? They just get just kicked out then.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't know if you remember a chick named Boss.
Yes,
she wasn't necessarily a cultural vulture, so to speak, but she was not a gangster rapper.
Good call.
So she had a really good first album, and people found out she wasn't really about that life, and essentially she was canceled. And this was in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? The same way with like
good point.
Milli Vanilli. I know they're not hip hop, but when people found out that they were lip syncing, that they wasn't legit, essentially that's a culture vulture, right?
They got
Or is that
canceled.
a different definition?
I think that's something different.
A little
I
different.
wouldn't exactly say culture. They were just liars. You know
Because
what I'm saying?
what we point out when what we point out as it relates to media is something different from what you're talking about. I understand that the concept, but when we talk about media and the media outlets, that's completely different.
Yeah,
from,
I would just kind of use
You know what I'm
those as
saying?
examples. Like Boss was definitely part of hip hop.
right.
I can't say that she wasn't connected somehow to speak on being actual vulture, but she was a studio gangster. That's what they came up with back then.
I can dig
like
that.
if people
I would say, yeah.
Would go in the studio and come up with this whole elaborate lifestyle that they didn't live. I mean, people definitely still do that.
They still
today.
doing that. Facts.
I feel like it's part of the same tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What do you think though, Lone? In terms of it being, we never hear a lot about the artist side versus the media side. Someone like
Drake.
well, you could use Drake, but I was thinking more of a Post Malone.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we've had this conversation about Post Malone and them before.
But I don't.
Oh, so you're talking about this from an angle of specifically artists being culture vultures, not media people.
Yeah, it's
I
like
thought you were talking about like the media's role in it and how artists responded to it.
I'm just talking about coverage separated between the two, how each is discussed, because I feel like the media side is discussed more than the artist side.
I see.
I rarely hear us talk. We might have talked about it.
We've
but
definitely
we talked
discussed
about it.
I'm talking
Post
about the
Malone
masses,
and
though.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus.
So Miley Cyrus is Post Malone.
We've talked about that part, but
see.
I don't see the articles.
Vanilla Ice, stuff like that.
I don't see the conversation being discussed a lot, is what I'm saying.
Well, what's the question then?
The question is, what I'm saying is, why do you think it's not talked about as much as the media is? We always hear people talking about Vlad and academics, and they even starting to get on Say Cheese a little bit. I hear that all the time. But I never hear anybody saying, man, Post Malone out here bad.
What's Vlad's whole platform, though? I mean, we've discussed this, too. He puts people in a situation where they can or cannot answer these questions that he's saying.
Right.
So a lot of times they get themselves in trouble, but Vlad is the presenter. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about an artist, that's why I brought up Drake, because Drake is the latest person that people are calling a culture vulture, because he dips and dives in all these different realms of music, borrows from it, does whatever he wants to do with it, and then moves on.
I like that.
I'm thinking more outside the box of, you know what I'm saying, that type of artist. Like the most popular artists go into realms that they don't necessarily exist in order to essentially get a bag, and they're not really of that said culture, so to speak.
Right.
That's real. Good point.
Yeah,
That's a
and
good point.
so that's where the Post Malone comments come in, right? Because
Right.
he's in and out. Miley Cyrus, who said hip hop is, degrading to women or whatever, and then she's like, once she needs more hits, she comes back to hip hop again. Like that's a part of it. I think too, it's probably partially because artists in general have a, it's a part of art too. So it's harder to make. I think it's harder to make the comparison from, like when you talk about media, it's business. It's business and it's money. Like off top, there's not a lot of art involved in. I mean, there is, but there's not a lot of direct art, and it's kind of controlling like what gets pushed. But artists, on the other hand, they have a little bit more control over what they do, and you can always kind of say, "Well, I was just trying something different" or something like that. So I feel like there's more gray area involved, maybe.
Y'all both make good points.
I think the media whole thing has more so recently moved into the forefront of being culture vultures, because media is such a broad term, and it became a broad term during Trump's presidency because everything was the media's fault. When we're talking about a hip hop, fake news. When we're talking about a hip hop reporter, I mean, there's always been other nationalities reporting on hip hop.
Right.
It's just that Vlad is one of the people that people pick on mostly, is because everybody's seen the type of questions that he asked these people.
Right.
I mean, Source magazine back in the day had all kind of people covering artists, and they didn't ask or dive into or incriminate artists like Vlad is doing. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, as an artist, you have to be smart enough to maneuver around those questions and say, well, that's not my place to speak on that, or, you know what I'm saying?
No, I can dig that.
You can't really just blame it all on Vlad, even though, I mean,
He might have a role.
Right, he has a role, but you have to be more responsible yourself too.
I can dig that. Jay Moore, jump in, man. What are your thoughts?
You know, when it comes to artists being culture vultures, I think, first of all, I'll just say the biggest culture vulture I have ever seen in the game has to be Kid Rock. Because at one point he's all like, "Oh, I love Public Enemy," and he's a DJ and he's doing this, that, and the third. His first records they sent him out. He was on Jive Records and he sent him out to work with Too Short. And he's trying to have the white man's high top fade, which but
he's a grifter in general, though.
Yeah, he's because like I said,
he's rich.
The way that most people
been rich his whole life.
That's what I mean.
Is like this white trash hero from the bottom and somewhere in Detroit, and then when you do your research, you realize that he grew up with an apple orchard and horses, and he grew, and that's not to knock people who come from privilege,
right.
But one of the worst things I think you can do, and this is me. I feel like I come from a certain level of privilege, but I would never ever, try to walk and talk like I know about straight gangsterism and I come from the bottom. That's just not true,
right?
And so if say I was trying to perpetrate that, because that could be me culture vulturing, me trying to walk around with a Dickie suit and lokes or whatever, whatever gangster, whatever you feel like, because I'm from that era,
right?
It was like, no, I don't know that life. I got on a J. Crew sweatshirt. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I'm still hip hop. I still love, I'm still a part of this culture, but I can't act like I'm something I'm not. And I think that's one of the things that always bothered me about Kid Rock. But his true colors are out now. He's out with the Confederate flag, even though basically he couldn't be further. He could be further away from the South. So when somebody from Detroit and who grew up with privilege wears a Confederate flag, they're telling you who they really are.
Straight up.
That's
so
real. That's real.
That's always somebody I've considered to be the biggest of all culture vultures. Like when he was hanging out with Run DMC and them and on Run's house, like he didn't mean that, and you can't tell me he did. I'm sorry. Like I see how you move now, and there's no way you'd have worn that Confederate flag that you are so proud of. There's no way you would have worn that to Rev Run's house if that's how you really feel now.
He was on the Hip Hop Honors rapping Jay-Z's 99 Problems.
Yeah, I remember. No, that was the BET Awards. I remember that.
Was that the BET Awards?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like you were doing that just because it was the cool thing to do, but you didn't mean that. So because once you felt like you could get your money without hip hop and without being around all these black people, you went ahead and got your Confederate flag and were hanging out with Ted Nugent. That's who you are. Yeah. But when we talk about the media part, like I'm one of these people that like because I still watch I check out Vlad because he literally will talk to people that no one else will pick up the phone and talk to. I do appreciate that about him. Like he was really the only person who talked to John Witherspoon and detailed his his entire career. Like, and
I'm not mad at that.
And and he talks to rappers. He doesn't just talk to rappers when they're either at the top or on their way down or have done something. He talks to people before we know him, because I'll be like, I don't know who this is, and then they'll do a flashback. I was like, oh, he talked to him when he was a nobody.
That's fair.
And the thing is, like, when they talk about, oh yeah, people go on there and get indicted. Look, Vlad's name doesn't come up in anybody's paperwork.
And we've been programmed to hate him.
We have, in a way, we have. I'm not trying. He does.
I'm not even gonna say
he
I
does
hate
some
him.
things that I do
Well,
not.
I'm just saying, just in general.
He does some things that I don't like, but everybody does things I don't like. But okay, this is where I would really feel like Vlad is a super duper culture vulture. Like he just did a interview with Sammy the Bull Gravano. Some of you who have done your history, I'm not going to go into all that, but not associated with hip hop in any way. And this is a big deal that he got this particular interview. And say going forward, he does those kind of interviews because he's been able to secure something this big, and he doesn't have time to sit down and to talk with Conway and West Side Gun and Boosie, and he doesn't sit down and talk to John Sally anymore because he can get these kind of interviews.
Right.
Like that would be for real culture vulturing.
Gotcha.
When you decide, okay, I've made it to this point and I built my brand off of talking to these people, but now that I have these people, I don't have to talk to I don't have to bother talking to little TJ or whoever, recover quickly, little TJ. But you know, if I can get Grant Cardone and I can start talking to these gangsters and these real estate magnates,
Right.
I don't have to talk to Michael Jai White anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to talk to AJ Johnson.
I never
anymore.
looked at it like that.
You know, that would
good
be
point.
the ultimate cultural vulture. You know, even though like I know he had the issue with Lord Jamar and what's the comedian's name? Godfrey.
Yep.
You know, but at the same time, it was like, hey, man. He gave them, you know, he gave them a lot of the game about what they're able to do now. You know, you know, once again, people that man, those men's disagreements, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I still think they all do great work, and I appreciate, you know, what it is. But you know, people be like, man, Vlad be doing this, that, and the third. I was like, look, if Vlad asks you, hey, how did you get into hip hop, and your answer is, well, I shot 3 people because they beat me for 3 bricks of cocaine. And so that's when I decided to start rapping. I was like, wait a minute, don't blame that on Vlad because you decided to confess online.
I got a question and great point, by the way, but I have a question for Terry, and then we can wrap this up. You talked about, we talked about the, you know, people not having to necessarily answer the questions, right? You can skip past them, or, you know, I saw one interview with Lil Reese, and he had it mastered. Didn't answer anything, but still answered everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Boosie does that.
Boosie does that, right? Terry, do you think some accountability can be, I guess, put on him from the line of questioning, the types of
I
questions?
mean, it can, but it's journalism, though. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're dealing with somebody that works in journalism,
right,
their thing is to break a story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't have to give them all the bits and pieces for them to break that story, for them to still have a good story.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're still going to publish it because that's their job. And they don't have any ties to not doing it. You know that when you're talking to the media or a journalist. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do.
And if you don't want to answer questions about the things that make you interesting, then don't show up for the interview.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. Okay.
It was just like, I remember, this is show you how long ago it was. Like Tyra Banks, remember she had a talk show, and Kim Kardashian wanted to come on, and this is before she had a show, like to keep me. And then, but she said, you know, she didn't want to talk about the sex tape with Ray J. And Tyra Banks was like, well, what do you want to talk about?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, like, you know, you pretty girl and all that, but there's not. I got to fill a segment here.
And they set all that stuff up anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So point. It's like, don't.
It's like you only use it for that little minute to get on, and now
if you only have 1 or 2 things that people would be interested in, and you don't want to talk about those, then don't go on these platforms.
Edit that.
But I will say too, though, it is super nuanced too, because depending on the person who you're talking to, and depending on what their stance and where they come from, as far as what their definition of what a culture vulture is, they'll latch out and they'll use. That's what they base everything around. So, for example, just in the last week, I've been called a culture vulture because I said that Snoop is always out to get the bag.
Yeah,
so
that's somebody just not using it in the right context.
Maybe, but I've also, you know, but in the same sense, it's like, what was another thing that I said? It was,
it wasn't Eminem, was it?
Oh, it was simply because I didn't say in a specific way that I listened to Eminem when he came out.
Oh, we were talking about how we heard.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
okay.
And stuff like that. I don't know. It's just, I definitely know, just as from being a white person in hip hop culture, that there's definitely, I don't want to say a target, that's kind of weird, but there's definitely a revolving set of eyes always looking for something
who are going to question your motives.
For sure.
There we go.
Especially if they do not know you, they don't know where you come from, they don't know your artistic pedigree. They're going to be like, what is this white dude talking about?
Yeah.
For sure. And then they, you know, and at the same time, they'll say something along the line, oh, you're holding a spot. You're holding a place that somebody else could have. Like I've had
that's of the culture.
Literally in the last week, somebody said, I'd love the show if he wasn't on it. You know, like stuff like
that's
that.
Tough.
No, I mean, it's whatever. I at this point, you know, I have fans.
I don't
Thanks
care. I'm
for
just
being a
saying
fan.
that whoever said that is good.
But it's like it'll get to the point to where it gets down to people will judge the entire show, and they'll judge you guys around me for even you being around me or co-signing it as well too.
Look at them sellouts hanging out with that white boy.
For sure. No, for sure.
100%. There's probably a lot of them out there saying
for sure. Now, and again, it has nothing to do with who I am at all. It's just what I have, and if I say anything from the optics level of it, like where is he coming from in that aspect. And so I think it's easier to question me about that than it is to question Jay about that. Simply because of what we look like.
But you know what? Then there's someone who here that, that I self-admittedly said that I grew up with a certain level of privilege.
Absolutely.
And they said, well, what do you know about hip hop and the streets and this, that, and the third? Like, you don't get to speak on that. And then I also took up for Vlad. Oh, no, the comments are coming. It just is what it is.
Yeah. So there's different levels to it. And, everybody has their own. To me, it's just based around flip-flopping and profiting off of stuff, and it is about, to me, it is about harnessing power and how you distribute it. But
yeah, that's crazy, man. It's a revolving door for sure as it relates to you.
This is the game. There's always going to be somebody that has something negative to say.
Yeah,
what it is.
Ain't please everybody.
Okay.
I can't take that, man. All right, let's go to the next topic, man. So let's talk hip hop. Did I say that like KRS-One right there?
Hip hop.
Hip hop.
I didn't mean to go that. I'm sorry. Slade would be proud of that.
Started out in the park.
Yeah. Slade would be proud of me the way I just said that. Hip hop. All right, so let's talk about hip hop hypocrisy.
All right.
So 𝗏𝗲 Foreign, shout out to Brooklyn, drill rap. He was on $1 Million Worth of Game, and he talked about still being in a deal with Rich Fish Records. Any idea who owns that?
I have no idea.
Mace.
Rich Fish, I've never heard of that.
Who's all on that? Who's all on that label?
Brother, when I tell you I hadn't heard of this, I couldn't.
Look, man, anybody can start an LLC if they have the tenacity to.
Okay, Rich Fish. Yeah.
It says talks about how he was locked into a questionable contract with the Can't Nobody Hold Me Down artist Rich Fish Records. So 𝗏𝗲 goes in to talk about how somebody brought him to Mace, basically presented him with a contract and told him, you need to go ahead and sign this, man. It's Mace.
Oh, you get a Rich Fish Records chain? Sign it.
And the advance was $5,000.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
He's still in that deal today. And
just give the money
Mace
back.
is still getting paper off of this young man somehow. Now, he said, it's cool. I guess he's going to try to work it out. But the hypocrisy is, how bad does Mace look? Because all he does is complain about the contracts that he signed and the things that he does or did in the past with Diddy.
I mean, how much of 𝗏𝗲 Foreign does he own? They
didn't give any specifics in terms of percentages.
Is it
but
𝗏𝗲 Foreign or is it
𝗏𝗲?
𝗏𝗲 Foreign. Oh, okay.
Yeah, 𝗏𝗲 Foreign.
I don't know.
I thought he was.
Well, let's see here, 10:05 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
Get that long?
Yep.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But nah, man. But nah, he says it may have something to do with publishing. You know how that goes. But the $5,000 advance and the fact that he's still somehow tied to this is the part that jumps out to me, because all Mace does is complain and talk about, how Diddy did him wrong. How bad, Jay Moore, how bad does he look now that this has come out?
Well, I mean, if you learned anything from Diddy, to just go ahead and
he knows the industry.
Yeah,
huh?
I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe instead of, doing right by this young brother, he said, I'm just going to do the same thing that was done to me. In fact, I'll do it even worse because I'm only going to give this kid $5,000. I'm not giving him millions of dollars like Puff Daddy advanced me for my second album.
Suit.
But, I heard you guys talk about it previously, is about signing the artist. Like, come on, they're not looking out for you. They see something in you. It's like, and if I can get, a percentage of this kid who might blow up and be the next big thing for $5,000.
Yeah.
And how hungry these kids are. And, depending on your age and your circumstances, $5,000 can seem like $500,000 to you if you're in a bad situation.
He talked about how much the $5,000, to your point, how much that looked to him then. And then he said he realized like 2.5, 3 weeks.
You know,
just went out and got a job and got a $5,000 sign-on bonus.
Yeah, so but if you're in a position to where, maybe lights about to get cut off, and I don't know this young man's situation with happened, but like something. Look, you could show somebody a check for $20,000 or show them $5,000 in cash, and they'd be more apt to take the $5,000 in cash. I mean, I know that sounds crazy to some people, but you've got to understand what the mentality is and how desperate a lot of people are, especially right now. We're going to see more of this, but like with Mace, yes, that is hypocritical. You walking around talking about what Diddy hasn't done for you, and how you were unfairly, you had to sell off your publishing. You didn't know what it was. Like, you didn't sit 𝗏𝗄 down and say, okay, this is publishing. These are splits. This is what this is. You just said,
he still don't know, really.
You just said, all right, well, here's this kid. He looks like he's doing something. Let me basically buy his rights for $5,000, and I'm going to eat off of him going forward.
I did hear that somebody was pushing this young man to sign a deal.
That part,
so it even.
Because they wanted some of that $5,000.
How are we splitting 5 G's?
Look,
and it says he accused Mace of trying
a record deal.
Yeah, a record deal, 5,000. Mace.
That's crazy.
People are like, well, you don't mean next to Mace. Like, it was probably somebody older who remember what Mace was when Mace was Mace.
Man, that's just irresponsible.
But it says it says he accused Mace of trying to fake explain how the money would be divided. And it sounded like, to Terry's point, it sounded like somebody was gassing him up to sign
Somebody definitely gassed him to sign that.
He said, I'm in a better situation now. He gets what he gets, as it relates to still talking about Mace. Like, whatever he gets, but I control all of my money and stuff like that, is what he said.
If Mace was smart, which he's not, obviously, since
that was kind of cold.
Well, I mean,
it
is what it is. If he knew what this young man that he signed was going to be,
facts,
he should have been more so propelling him rather than dropping the Oracle too, trying to go at Diddy. I don't know how long. How do you say his name? 𝗏𝗄, like Fabio.
Yeah,
with a V.
With a V.
𝗏𝗄. Okay, 𝗏𝗄. I know Kanye works with him or something like that.
Oh, he big on that drill scene.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. That's just like you said. I mean, you don't know his background. You don't know what he came from. How broke he was. I know he did mention something about $5,000 being gone within 3 weeks. Because, I mean, essentially, you probably thought you was going to go ball out, give you a couple pair of shoes and stand in front of your homies, and then the money was gone.
Looked up,
I know people who've gotten, advances, and like they pay rent for 2 or 3 months, buy a jacket, some shoes, and it's gone.
Yeah.
Like,
like what's his name? 𝗀𝗲 talked about how he got a $20,000 advance or something, and when got his brother out of jail.
Yeah.
With that advance, so he was essentially broke after he paid his brother's bail money. But I mean, $20,000 isn't a whole lot in the grand scheme of things either when we're talking about signing a record deal,
right?
Especially
$5,000 from Mace.
I mean,
murder Mace, preacher Mace. Come on, man.
It's not really doing God's work right there, is it?
Yeah, man. He looks, with all the complaining and stuff that he's been doing. Think about this: the documentary that is on, don't quote me, I believe it is on Netflix. The Bad Boy. Remember when they did the Bad Boy reunion tour?
Right.
Like, Mace was just giddy to be back, and the whole
he didn't get invited to the performance on BET. Sean was there.
True. But if you look at that documentary, the whole crew is back. Everybody's back in the spot. Mace dancing, hugging Puff. And that whole time, fast forward, we done had a diss record. And what Terry said, he didn't even perform at the tribute.
I mean, that bridge is burnt now.
Yeah.
It's gone.
And the thing is, there's video out there of, Mace confronting some radio station. And he signed he signed back some of his rights. But at the same time, like, look, Diddy knows what things are worth. There's a saying that, some people, they know the price of everything and the value of absolutely nothing. And, Diddy knows the value of things. He just doesn't know the price of things. And so if Mace wants his publishing back, he's going to have to come with a check. Maybe he getting with one of these venture capitalists who's out here buying all this publishing, and maybe they can work something out. But Diddy he's a good enough businessman that he knows that, especially with all these retro and people buying up and remaking songs and from the 90s. No, I'm not letting that publishing go. Like if you got, like I remember Diddy wanted $2 million for Mace so he could sign with G Unit, and then 50 Cent, he doesn't have any friends, so he just said, look, man, Mace ain't worth $2 million if with $2 million in his pocket.
Right.
So that didn't happen, and you just got to understand, like this is what the paperwork is. Eventually your rights will revert, but hey man, you wanted a new outfit and to put a down payment on the car, so you sold your. I'm not saying that's exactly what his situation was,
example,
but that's where that's how short-sighted sometimes people are.
And luckily he made it out of that. I mean,
he made it way out of it.
He made it out. He recouped on his first album. He got a crazy advance for a second one. The album didn't do nothing because he turned to God, and Diddy never asked for the money back. People never tell that part of the story.
Fivio ain't doing too bad either. Or Favio.
There we go. You caught it.
Whoever.
Maybe there's multiple ones.
There is not.
Fivio, Favio, tomato.
He's the guy that always takes his shirt off and has long hair, right? Fabio?
Fabio is, yeah.
Yeah, he's on a boat in Italy or something.
Long, what do you have to say?
For my old school Nintendo players, like before he was Fabio, he was on the cover of the video game Wizards and Warriors.
Oh, was that him?
That was Fabio.
Oh, wow.
We're going to have to pull that up. Long, anything to add on this? Not Fabio. Fabio. It's just situation what makes it. I mean,
Right. I don't know. I would say, yeah, I don't care.
All right.
Yeah, no.
I hadn't had one of those in a little bit.
No, I don't. I mean, did you see the Instagram video of Diddy's mom kind of making fun of Mace?
I did not.
I mean, it's
mom was throwing shots at Mace. That's what's up.
Diddy was on a live or something, and
Fabio.
But my thing with Mace is Mace just seems like he keeps walking into it. I don't know. Like
he can't help it.
He's continually a punchline. I don't know.
Yeah.
He can't help it.
We'll talk to Cameron about him.
Man.
Mace and Betha or something.
Horse and carriage.
Rise to the top.
It's one of the worst album covers ever.
You ain't lying. Mace had a little run now, but what is that?
Thanks to Biggie. Yeah, he had his run thanks to Biggie.
Yeah.
Honestly.
No, you know what? You can't.
Puffy.
Can't hate on the Harlem World album though.
No, sir. You cannot hate on that.
I thought you was talking about the Harlem World group. I was about to say, hold on now.
Oh no, the Harlem World group that was all trash.
No, Harlem World, the album was good.
Yeah, you can't. That's one album. Yeah.
You know it was bad when Puff Daddy's like, no, you take down the Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah.
All right, man. You wild.
Blinky blink.
You wild for that.
They did a Rugrats song.
He tried to put his sister on.
They did, didn't they?
They did a Rugrats song with old girl was singing there too. Maja. That's when Maja was in her soundtrack bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maja.
Shout out to Maja.
Let's do the partners.
All right.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com. That was kind of cool. That was kind of cool.
To do.
Hey.
Didn't even realize we were in the background there.
We're back.
Find new things every day.
Hey, man.
Just like Mace.
I know.
Welcome back.
I used to. Shout out to the partners as always, man. We appreciate the continued support and hope to grow those relationships, man. So salute to our partners. All right. Let's talk a little Tupac and Tupac's impact. I think this is dope. This is a dope story. So there's a member of Lords of the Underground. So it's Dupree Do-It-All Kelly, who recently was named city councilman in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I think this is so cold to me. I love that this brother is actually out here trying to attempt to do something and was successful with it as it relates to the community. So that's dope. But he mentioned Pac in an interview, and he said 25 years ago, he and I were in an Orlando hotel room, and he said that we shouldn't move from our cities. He said we should come back and create nonprofits, create youth initiatives and youth programs. We might also need to do some things that we may not want, and that means running for office. And he said that conversation stayed with him to all this time. I think this is dope because, in my personal opinion, I feel like there are two conversations when it comes to Tupac as it relates to his impact. And there's always the conversation of pre-Death Row Pac and Death Row Pac. And the guy that initially came out with Trapped and all the early stuff, I don't know if he gets as much shine as the other side. I think this is a dope opportunity to show that Pac really was an intellectual and truly cared about the community.
Kind of shows you where he was going.
Go ahead, because you're one of the biggest Pac fans I know. But just kind of talk about the dynamics in terms of his impact and how it's discussed sometimes, because this really goes to who I think he truly was.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said, and not even just me, a lot of people knew that if Pac were still around right now, he definitely would have lived by that as far as running for office or going to the political side of things. I mean, he's from a political family.
Right.
When we talk about the Black Panthers or whatnot, he's a reflection of his mother, Afeni Shakur. These are Matulu, all of them were people that raised him. So
right.
That's in his blood, essentially. But speaking of the Machiavelli album, wasn't necessarily, it was more kind of going back to the Tupacalypse Now and Strictly for My format a little bit. Like it wasn't like just rah like that was, because those were real racially charged records.
Agreed.
But Machiavelli was getting more along that political stance, in my personal opinion. I don't know about anybody else, but you could kind of hear it coming back a little bit, but just with a little different style of the
I mean, if you think
Pac
about
style.
records like what's my joint? White Man's World,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that goes to your argument of what you're talking about. Because listening to that now, it's just as potent.
Yeah.
The bars and what he's talking about.
And there was always a song on every album that was like that, though.
Right.
It's just that it wasn't all the same. But I mean, I believe it. As far as, I mean, right now it's kind of a catch-22 telling rappers to go back to their city, depending on what they do in their cities.
Good point.
Because as Boosie said, you can die in the same city you from, you know?
You're hypnotized by hate.
Yeah, straight up. So if you're not a Chance the Rapper type person who is doing those type of initiatives and
right.
trying to make things better for Chicagoans and kids and things like that,
and doesn't have like a lot of enemies.
right? He doesn't
Right.
he doesn't have gang ties. He doesn't have. I mean, his content isn't that either.
Right. Right.
So I mean, it just depends on what kind of artist you are, whether you can kind of abide by that. Going back to your city, town, state, whatever.
Right.
You can give in certain ways, but I mean, like I said, it depends on the artist. Is that really smart for you to be there doing that? I mean, we just lost what's his name in Memphis, in his home state.
Oh,
Dolph.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you can only be true to your hometown and state for so long before you grew too big and you knew the circles that you was around. You knew the type of people that might be gunning for you. So I mean,
And Dolph was all about Memphis.
I understand the point that he's making as far as Pac is concerned,
Right.
but you just have to be the right kind of artist to do that.
I can dig it. Any thoughts on this, Long?
What exactly are we talking about?
Just talking about a guy from you remember the Lewis?
I mean, I know we're talking about Tupac, but I don't know what we're talking about.
just talking about how he impacted this guy that ran for city councilman and won, and he used to be a hip hop artist back in the 90s. He talked about this conversation that he and Pac had that ultimately stuck with him this whole time. So it's just about the concept of Pac and how Pac is viewed, because there's always two sides to it. That's all. And I think this should be highlighted because it's more on the quote unquote good side.
Yeah, really the only thing I have to say is that that's great. You know, as far as all the other stuff and how Tupac has been viewed by, you know, different people, and he had his persona when he was alive, right?
Right. Yep.
You know, but at the same time, Terry mentioned, you know, his Black Panther history, and you know how the United States views the Black Panthers,
right?
In general, you know, white America at least. So
good point.
No, I think it's great, but that's really all that I have to say about it.
I ain't mad at that. Jay Moore, talk to me.
Well, you know, I was one of those people that I didn't really want to hear. I loved all the music Tupac did when he was alive,
right?
But I hated how they kept releasing music after he was dead, because I'm like, every once in a while I'd hear something, I'd be like, yeah, that's dope. He probably would have worked with that person, but then I'd be like, Tupac didn't know T.I. and Ashanti. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not do that to these songs. You know, if there was an original vision, let's keep that. And like,
right.
they kept trying to update the formats for the new listeners, and I was cool on that. But one of the things that I always did enjoy is when they would find a Tupac interview.
Right.
Like, I didn't want to listen to Tupac talk about music at all.
Right.
I love for him to talk about the world and how he saw the world. You know, those are the things where I'm like, he saw the future. Like, there's literally a clip where he's talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he's talking about how, you know, things are, you know, he's talking about, like, look, basically talking about income equality. Right. You know, he's not calling it exactly that, but he's like, this is coming if we don't get it together. So I could see where he would have that influence on so many people, because in a way he's had that influence on me, you know, as far as the way I view the world and as far as the way how I interact with people, you know. I think that, once again, if you're one of these people that really wants to know why we, you know, still talk about Tupac, and it's 25 years later, just about.
Exactly.
It's the music, yes, the music, you know, because he had the joints that we love, but it's when, you know, he would be on MTV talking to Tabitha Soren, or when he was on BET talking to Ed Gordon,
at the Black Expo here, and so because he went off.
So when you would see him talk about when he wasn't talking about the music industry and like having beef with some rapper, or talking about a gold chain or a car, or like, I always say that the real Tupac, the Tupac that I really loved, never came home from prison. You know, like the dude who was doing All Eyes on Me, that's not the Tupac that made me a fan. You know, I was a fan from when I heard when the homies call. I liked Trap, but when the homies call, and then, like, dog, Tupac put out Brenda's Got a Baby as a single. Think about what was going on in hip hop as far as like either something real gangster, we gotta make you dance, and he puts out this song about a girl that was raped by her cousin, has the baby, and then winds up, you know, throwing the baby in the trash can, and then it dies as a prostitute.
It was well received.
Was a single,
right?
Like, if you try somebody to do something like that today, they're not doing it. And and the fact that he had the wherewithal to go into Interscope Records and say, no, this is the song we're putting out, and we're shooting a video, like that speaks more to who Tupac is, much more as an artist than when I hear Ambition as a writer.
I can dig it. Yeah, salute to this brother, man. This is big, and I hope, you know, once he gets settled in and, you know, starts voicing his opinions on things in that area, maybe it can evoke some change. So salute to him. Let's go ahead and jump into our everlasting producer conversation, if we can squeeze a couple in. I got Mike Will made it queued up, I believe. Lone and he's gonna stop doing that, man. That's gonna offset any foolishness I got, because I'm gonna laugh every time. All right, man. Let's go to I got Mike Will's production discography pulled up. I'll just, I guess, kind of bounce around here for the sake of time. So 2011, Tupac's back. Meek Mill featuring Ross. Let's see, Ain't No Way Around It. DJ Drama featuring Future. Jeezy, Way Too Gone featuring Future. Let's see, where else?
Turn out the light.
Yeah. Future. Mercy by Kanye, Big Sean, and Pusha T. Big record. No Lie, 2 Chainz. This is all 2012. Let's see. Love Me by Lil Wayne. Show Out by Juicy J. Bugatti by Ace Hood.
Spaghetti?
Oh yeah, Miley Cyrus in there. We were just talking about her.
Yeah, get her whole album that she did very well with.
Sure did. You're right.
Hip hop.
You are correct. What's going on in 2014?
Now she want him back.
Yep.
How about want that old thing back?
How about Paradise, Big Sean?
No Flex Zone?
Ray Shrimmer.
Thank you. Work with
ear drummer backwards.
Yes, sir. That doesn't count, but that's a
Never
big,
knew that.
That's a big record. Formation, Beyonce, but that don't count.
Throw some more.
Did I skip?
Big record.
That's a huge
Some
record.
more was
Black
big record.
Beatles.
Black
That's
Beatles.
a big record.
Was a
That's
big
huge.
record. That was one of them viral moments.
Yeah, Humble by Kendrick.
And DNA.
Yeah,
Let's
it is.
see. Yeah, and DNA. That's huge. Let's see.
East Atlanta 6. Gucci Mane.
I mean, all of them.
It's a lot of big records.
Yeah, he's got.
Big records. I mean, he's newer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he's a little fresher on the brain as far as production is concerned.
Mhm.
King of Diamonds on Rich Forever. Remember that?
I think we can go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
to
we can
vote.
do that. He got some heat. Yeah, he got some heat. Here's a DJ. Oh, gotta have a
Beach is
DJ
better?
Khaled. Yeah, we can go ahead and go on that because
All right.
this guy's he's legit. He is legit. All right, don't let me do this week.
He's been active since what year?
I can do the numbers.
Okay, cool. I started reading at 2011,
11.
I believe.
11 to present.
11 to present. No, I take that back. That was just a hit, like the singles. They got him listed on Gucci Mane. No
what-
Pad, No Pencil, 2007.
Okay.
The boy been active.
Gucci.
All right, let's go down the rundown. I have influence, impact on peers, and upcoming producers.
City mate.
I like 8.
I'll give him an 8.
He got some impact.
This is a tough one
Okay.
because he's not super old. He isn't like known for, but I would say his impact on newer producers is pretty
Mhm.
high. So I'll go ahead and give it an 8.
Yep. Versatility. How versatile are the hip hop records? I'm gonna go 8. I think his bag is a little bit deeper. I'm gonna go 8.
Because I'm
Hip-hop-wise?
only counting the hip hop records.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying. I'm only counting
I'm
hip
gonna
hop.
do 7.
wise.
you know, if it was overall, I'd probably give him a 9.
Yeah.
Different styles of hip hop.
Our artists he's produced to
9.
work with. 9.
Works with everybody.
Yeah, he
You do
does
Ray
work with
Shrimmer,
everybody.
Kendrick, and Jay.
Yeah, that's
Gucci,
true.
yeah.
9.
9. I agree.
I'm gonna go 8. He doesn't really have anybody that's not a big hit. Like no real underground.
Big hits, cult classics from the producer. That boy got some bangers.
9.
Got some bangers.
9.
Yeah, I was gonna go 9.
Yeah,
too.
he has a 9 on that one, I'd have to say.
Yeah, I can't argue with y'all. He got bangers. This is
Michael
gonna be good.
Consistency of quality.
He has viral hits,
Yeah.
like when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency of quality material released.
Viral before TikTok, before they was doing TikTok dance.
He's got a nice list of the singles, the hit records, but well,
Consistency.
because he's got a lot of stuff with Gucci starting out the gate and Waka, and I don't know if those were
9.
Just like
level.
7.
I got it. Just because
You gonna go 9?
I know those records and like
I'm gonna
these
go
are-
7.
Just
on this.
because, even the stuff that weren't singles, those joints go.
I'm gonna go 7. I might be sleep as it relates to this. I'm gonna go
That's
7.
a 7.
I'm gonna go 7.
Consistency,
No
quality.
knock though. No
I'm gonna
knock
do 8.
though. He cold.
Yeah.
Body of work. How great is their overall body of work?
Pretty solid. Go 8.
I feel like if I'm going to say we have a 9 in hip making,
Say that again.
I'm 9.
What you just say?
Who was that?
Him and
You
a.
just pulled a Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I don't want this.
He might be honestly, he probably is a 9 though. Honestly, if we talking about body of work.
I'll do 9.
Yeah.
This is gonna be
He
good.
got
I'ma keep it real.
Whole albums that are just.
Yeah.
8.
I'm gonna go 8 with Long. The boy got it. Final product. How often are the songs great from their beats?
8.
Yeah.
He's
so
consistent.
8. Right with 8.
I like 7 on this one.
I mean, I like Humble and I like DNA, but aren't my favorites.
I like both of those.
And I know
melodic.
those are just 2 elements.
Melodic elements used, samples or original.
7.
7.
I like 7.
Bum, 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 bum.
He's doing DNA in his head.
Humble.
Humble, I mean, yeah.
Drums.
I don't hear a whole lot of drums.
Yeah, I'm not that impressed with the drum
Play
programming.
6.
I'll go 6 on the drums. Good score though.
Yeah, 7.8.
What a shot get?
7.3.
Okay. At least be honest.
Shock Jizzle.
All right, do we have enough time to do now? The next group is
Yeah, we got time.
they got a lot going on. We might even have to go through the list on this one. DJ Paul and Juicy.
Okay.
So
Wrong one.
I don't think we need to. What you think? I don't even think we need to
Nah, I don't think we
go
need to
through anything on this one
Can you
because
just say a few just for.
yeah, I'll give you a couple. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I can name some off top, but I'll go to the list.
Do what you need to.
Thank you, sir. They got so much heat, man. I don't even know. I mean, man, they got heat.
Tear the club up side to side.
Man.
International
Who
Players Anthem.
Who run it?
Yeah.
Mostly 3-6 stuff, though, right?
Yeah.
A lot of 3-6, yeah.
A lot, but then, you know.
What do they
got-
have outside of that besides International Players Anthem and
Oh, gosh, the stuff they done
That's-
with Megan, the stuff they done with Wiz Khalifa.
now this is Juicy J too.
Yeah, Juicy J and Paul.
Now are we counting them
Beauregard.
together?
His name is Paul Beauregard.
Thank you.
Paul Dwayne
Wow.
Beauregard.
Sounds like German or something. Oh God. Hey, bro.
Oh, stupid. I'm trying to find.
They got Oscars.
They do. Trying to find a good list.
Well,
It's hard out here for a pimp.
Man.
You know,
Whoop that trick.
whoop that trick. Get him.
My hoes, they do drugs.
Popping my collar.
You side to side.
DJ Paul's probably, yeah, he's number one on my list at flipping Willie Hutch samples until further notice.
Stay
Dip it
fly.
on some scissor.
Man,
I think we got enough.
Yeah.
Let's talk
yeah.
about let's influence here. Impact on pairs.
Influence,
10.
I gotta give them a
10.
Yeah,
10 on that.
I have to
'Cause
give 'em a 10
it's-
for
They got
influence.
kids running around right now making beats off 3-6 Mafia style. 10.
9.
You would. Versatility. How versatile are the hip hop records?
Yeah, it's not very versatile. 6.
Yeah, I got the
They
Right
got
above average.
they got a style. They stick with it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go-
give 'em
I got it.
6.
I'm gonna go
only give 'em a
6 on
5.
that one.
And this is the hip hop records, not the beat.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna go 6.
So I don't remember anything anybody said.
I,
6.
I said 5.
yeah, I'm 6.
5, 6, 5. I'm gonna do 10.
Yeah, they got a no brainer. All right, collaborations, different types of styles, artists, producers, works.
And probably 6.
7.
Uh,
I mean, it's like 3-6 and a
Ratchet,
few others.
Wiz
Yeah.
Khalifa,
Wiz
Lil White,
Khalifa,
Bow Wow.
Bow Wow.
Project Pat.
Yep.
I'll probably go 6. Yeah, Project Pac's kind of more the same though.
I like 7. I like 7 on that.
Big hits, cult classics.
8.
10.
9.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go 9 too.
They got them. They got
Yeah,
them.
they do got him.
They got them.
I might have to switch mine on 9.
They got them. Consistency and quality of material released.
8.
When they're in their bag, the consistency
7.
is there.
Because
Yeah,
there's
I'm
some.
gonna go 8 with that.
I mean, because they've done so much that a lot of people have never heard. But, you know,
I'm with Terry. I'm gonna go 8. I like that. Okay, so how great is their overall body of work? 8 is fair with y'all.
Yeah.
See, how often are the songs great from their beats? Well, depends on what you think a great song is.
I got some
Like
great songs.
7.
They do.
I'll say 7.
7.
I'm gonna have to go.
I can't argue with y'all on that. I'll take that. I can't argue with y'all. Melodic elements used, samples, or original.
Probably go 9 on that.
They
one.
in they bag on those. I'm at a 9. Yeah, I'm at a 9 on that.
8.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go 9 too. I mean, it's a lot of the stuff is super. It just stuck. I didn't like 3-6 Mafia growing up,
Right.
but I still like the beats for the
You
most
couldn't help
part.
it. Yeah,
Like, I
you
mean, like
couldn't help
sipping
it.
on some scissor was and popping my collar. And
They
all
were
that.
infectious.
It was just
How great is the producer's drum programming? Well, if you base it off today's music,
10.
That's the
I
influence.
was yeah, that's the influence.
I don't know, because I mean they were fancy or really into the hi-hat ticks, and
I give him a 7.
I'll probably give them an 8 for that.
I give him a 10. I mean, I know what I'm talking about, but there's something that
I'm gonna go 8.
that's part of what makes that drum track programming is part of what makes that music so good.
I agree with that.
I would say the melody more than the drums.
I would personally.
You know what? Okay, I'm still only gonna take it down. I'm going to give it a 9.
Take it to a 9.
Take it to a 9.
Yeah, I think the melodies that they came up with and how they were sampling stuff, and I think that weighs over the actual.
I'm gonna
drums.
go 10 on melodies for them. Oh, I did it again.
Uh-oh.
At least it didn't start the partner song.
You gonna go 10 on melodies long?
Wrong one.
I don't know, man. He might have just talked me into that as well because their melodies are fire.
That's the one thing. Like, there's no reason for me to like anything they've done.
And you said the good word with
But I do.
with infectious. He said,
Yeah, it's infectious beats, man. Like
change my
whether
mind.
you wanted to
what?
whether you even like the lyrics or what they was talking about,
Yeah.
them beats, you be like, man,
International players.
I can't
in it,
argue.
too.
I can't argue with that.
You'll literally listen to 3-6 Mafia, and you're like, I know better than this.
not
Yeah.
for real.
I
Look,
can't
you
argue
got,
with that.
Like who the crunk is in this? Folks on the
Look,
right,
the
who
fact-
crunk is in, people on the left. Man, that's still you just be like, man, this is crazy.
Hey,
Lil White has a song called "I Show Will" that I think is fantastic.
I believe it.
But and look, there are
Dun, dun, dun,
Any adjustments,
there's
Jay
a
Moore?
run
song.
it?
There's a
Who
song.
run
they-
it? The song Who Run It? Man, you could put that song up against any song almost. Like, you know how they put out them things, they'd be like,
They did the
if you
horns
had
right.
this type of system, what's the first song you would play?
Mhm.
You
Who
remember
Run It?
now? If I'm not mistaken, their verses with Bone was in L.A., right?
Right.
Did you see how people was reacting in L.A. to all those 3-6 records?
They should have had it in. They should.
If they had it
They
here,
should
it
have
would
had
have
it
been
in
stupid.
St. Louis or Indianapolis.
Yeah, it would have been stupid if they had it here. But nah, man, they
If in L.A., all those people were all high and they didn't know what was going on. And
y'all have any chance? But they still was lit to those records. Though.
they were, but like, can you imagine? Look,
It might
there
not-
are women who I know are stand-up members of society.
But when Slob on my knob comes on,
Yeah.
wait,
Wait,
that beat is.
Yeah.
They are out there singing and dancing to every single word.
All right, that'll do it for this episode. As always, we're going to go LoneGevity involved in New Orleans. We appreciate the support as always. And stick around for the post show. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Man.